All right. Well, we're back doing another session video. I haven't done these in a while because I've been busy, which I'm very grateful for. Been able to work with a lot of amazing people. I've been able to be involved in some work things, musically. And third, I've just been finishing up an album, which I'm very excited for. And I think that these session videos, I kind of forgot how therapeutic they were. To talk through things, to just explain. Sometimes life moves fast and there's a lot of things that we kind of step over or forget. And so being able to just sit and process is a very important thing. And especially when it comes to this new album, which I'm very excited for, it really helped me realize and remember the difference between a therapeutic approach and a therapy approach to music. Music is a therapeutic thing. It opens you up. If you really want to go deep, you can be vulnerable. And not everyone does that necessarily, which is fine. But for the art that I particularly appreciate, I look for vulnerability. I look to be vulnerable in my music. And as I was writing this album, I think the first beat I made for it was Christmas of 2025. So I'm about 6 months in to this process, and it's only 7 songs, but to me, I really wanted to give a sum of my journey through music. I'm sitting there on one of the last days of the year and thinking about a lot of the things that I've been able to accomplish, a lot of the struggles that I've encountered throughout the years. And I couldn't think of a better way to just sit and process that, especially at that time, than to make an album. What came from the first couple days of production, like beat making, was very inspiring, and it was flowing through me. Just the writing, the ideas, the inspiration it was a free flow. I knew the direction that I wanted to go. Everything was flowing so well. And a month or two went by, and that process kind of slowed down a little bit. And something that's been really important to me is making intentional music, and being very specific about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, because not only do I feel better, but I also know that it is good for me to do that. I made a lot of art that doesn't have a lot of intention, that's not vulnerable, it's very surface level, and that's okay to do. But as I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate a lot of the value that comes from making art intentionally, having a purpose behind what I'm doing. And so I love writing, I love recording, I love producing, I love the process. The process is everything to me. And something that I kind of was able to unpack while I created this album was my difference between music being my therapy and music being therapeutic. And I think that it's important to talk about the difference between the two. Music being a therapy is almost, to me, it feels like a crutch. Relying on music to fix these problems, to change the way I think about things. And I think in the way that I've personally done it, it only helps for a little bit. You know, I'm able to write something, it opens me up, something comes out, and that's a beautiful thing. But constantly using the process to unpack things is not long-lasting, versus a therapeutic approach, which is doing the work outside of the music and then being able to come to the music and have it open up a part of you and be able to already have worked through something or being in the process of working through something and letting music show you what's there. I think that it might not feel like a stark difference, but to me it's felt very stark and very this side, that side. Because for a long time I tried to use music as a way to figure out what was going on in my life, and I didn't think to approach the problem in a different way. Maybe before I came into the studio, where I got on the mic, or I got my pen and paper. So this album has really shown me a lot, and the themes of it, I think, were very present. The project is called Nurture, so obviously there's a element and a concept of growth, and throughout my career I've been able to grow very steadily, whether I realized it or not. Starting out feeling as though I was one of the best. I had the right mindset, I had the right way I wanted to go about it, and quickly found myself in a hole of despair of not only not being the best, but also not knowing what I was doing, even though I had this fire inside me and this drive to create, and to maybe be something more than I was or who I was. It left me very unfulfilled throughout the early years of my career, and this album has shown me, as each song represents a year of my career. It was this album was written and created very intentionally to revisit those years in a way to appreciate the growth that I have gone through and experienced. And as I read through the lyrics from the first song to the last song in order, the story is so just apparent. There's each year something happens, something is realized, there's a change that continues to flow. And the day that I finished writing my album, which was maybe last week, early June, I sat for probably a whole week, and the only music I listened to was that album, dissecting it, pulling it apart, smacking it around, as we do with our art. We want to shave it, and we want to make it smooth, and we want to create the best work possible. And for maybe about a week, I just sat there with like this degradation, this feeling of just, ugh, I hate this. This is not working. It doesn't sound good, whatever the case might be. But after that week passed, I was able to come back to it and just listen freely without feeling of judgment. And making this album has been so therapeutic for me. Not only because I think I've worked through a lot of the issues that I talk about in the songs, but I wasn't using it as a way to figure something out. To me, I had already figured out the things that I was talking about. And I don't say that with like an ego or like this feeling of knowing it all or never struggling again or not failing again. Like, I don't say that in that way, but the way I say it is that understanding these struggles and understanding what it took to rise above these struggles, and then being able to come back to those things 5 to 7 years later and talk about them with confidence and almost just an inspection of them, and not feeling bad or worried about it, almost feeling confident and grateful that I was able to rise above the struggles that I've encountered throughout my career and just in my life as a young person. And so music being therapeutic is so important, but using it in a way that is healthy and that brings you joy and fills your spirit and fills your soul. That's like the most important part, I think. And that's something that I was reminded of as I finished writing this album, is just realizing that it's a beautiful thing to be able to create. It's a privilege. And often we forget how far we've come, how much we've grown, and it's good to remember those things, not in a way to be distracted with our present selves or talk down on who we used to be, but remember how strong we are, remember how resilient we've become. And even if we haven't felt that way, where we don't feel resilient or we're still working on things, like, that's okay. It's just the ideas that I formed while I was creating this project was really just dive deep, dive back into those things and just appreciate them and talk about them, not in like with any disdain or hatred while I'm writing, but just talk about it. And you don't know what kind of impact that can make, not only on yourself, but on others around you, the people close, family. This album reminded me that I need to continue making art for myself, and I need to continue to grow and nurture myself and take care of myself and love myself, because no one else will do that. And it just reminded me of the strength that I have inside. And so with this album, I'm very excited. It's been a project that I haven't been working on for a long time, 6 months of writing and reworking and conceptualizing, but producing too. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm grateful that I have the people who are a part of the project on it. And I'm very grateful for what I've learned through creating this project, and I'm excited to share it. I'm hoping that I can release it before August. That's the goal. But I'm just very grateful for art, for the growth that's happened, and my words of encouragement are: continue to take care of yourself, continue to create, continue to be intentional with what you do. It makes a big difference in your life whether we see it or not, or we won't see it for a while. It's a process. It's not linear. There's ups and downs, there's struggles, but when you continue to come back to your roots and where you started and find that passion again, it's a beautiful thing. So, all love.